Hey, what's up, YouTube? Alf here, once again talking about Master League for Go Battle League. Today, what we're going to talk about is some of the best. We're going to call them budget Pokemon for Master League. Nothing is truly budget in Master League. Everything really should be maxed out to get its maximum potential, but there's a few Pokemon that I think are going to cost you a little bit less, both because the candy is readily available. The second move is less than 100,000 Stardust, and that you might already have some of these Pokemon because they've been relevant as raid Pokemon. So we're going to go through a few picks that I think are maybe underrepresented, are going to overperform a little bit for you so that you can make the most out of the Stardust that you decide to spend for Master League. If you're enjoying our videos here on YouTube, please give us a subscription here on the channel. It helps us grow here on YouTube. And come catch us live on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday night, where we'll be battling in Master League for the next couple weeks. All right, here we go with your picks. All right, so the first Pokemon that I want to feature today is Rhyperior. And there's a reason I want to highlight Rhyperior as what I think is the best budget option in Master League. It is the only Pokemon, or one of the only Pokemon I can find that beats Dialga, Togekiss, and Giratina Origin without having to get fancy. As a recent Community Day Rhyperior candy is readily available, you probably already even have one, as it's been a relevant raid counter for a number of recent raid bosses as well. As far as moveset, you really want Mudslap. Mudslap is doing the lion's share of the work against a Dialga. It's also going to do a lot of work against the Heatrans you see, against Melmetals, which you'll see as well. Surf is the fastest firing move that Rhyperior has. Does not do a ton of damage to most of the things you're going to see, but does serve every now and then as a great shield bait. And ideally, you'd have Rock Wrecker. Rock Wrecker is a extremely powerful move that does a lot of neutral damage to the dragons, especially Giratinas. You can get by with Stone Edge, and it doesn't necessarily change any of your matchups if you have Stone Edge. In fact, my maxed out perfect Rhyperior has Stone Edge, and I've been plenty happy with it, but you would prefer to have Rock Wrecker, and I do recommend that move. But if you only got Stone Edge, you're not really giving anything up. All right, the second Pokemon I want to highlight is our trusty old friend Gyarados. I know a lot of you have maxed out Gyaradoses already from the old days. Magikarp candy is extremely plentiful. The second move is only 10,000 Stardust. Gyarados doesn't have any extremely overwhelming matchups against the core meta. It does beat Giratina Altered pretty soundly, and it beats some off-meta players, things like Kyogres and Metagross, things that you'll see pretty commonly, but maybe don't make up the top core of the meta. What it does do, which is interesting, is with that moveset, it's got Dragon Breath, Crunch, and Outrage. Dragon Breath hits a lot of things for super effective, including Dragonites and Giratinas and the other dragons running around. Crunch will hit the Giratinas for super effective damage. It also hits Metagross for that. And if you do land an Outrage on a Dialga or a Giratina or a Dragonite, it will absolutely destroy it. So Gyarados is one of those Pokemon who is going to perform pretty evenly. You're not going to be absolutely steamrolling your opponents because of it, but it's such a great switch in option, especially if you want to sort of safe switch. It's really got pretty similar, decent matchups sort of everywhere. So I recommend it. I think it's a great budget option for you to sort of rely on in that safe switch place. The next Pokemon I want to cover is straight out of the Raiders inventory, which is Machamp. Machamp does one thing really, really well, and that thing is it beats Dialga soundly. It is a great counter to Dialga. The only issue with Machamp is that it does struggle against the rest of the core meta. It obviously has a terrible Togekiss matchup. It has a pretty bad Giratina matchup. Against Togekiss, at least you can use Rock Slide to threaten some damage, but generally speaking, Machamp's job is to beat up on Dialgas. It'll also pick up wins against things like Melmetal and Snorlax, which you'll see pretty commonly. Moveset wise, I'm a champ. You definitely want counter. It's its best available fast move. Rock slide is really its best coverage move. And then you can choose between cross chop and close combat. Cross chop is going to give you really consistent performance. It comes out fast. It's going to hit pretty hard against the things you're targeting. Close combat is much more of a closing move. It will do massive damage to the things that you need Machamp to beat, but you do debuff yourself significantly with it. It can definitely be much more powerful if you are very careful about how you use it. I generally prefer cross chop just for the consistency's sake though, because again, Machamp's primary job is to beat up on Snorlaxes and Dialgas, and cross chop is going to be plenty good to do that. Next is the Pokemon that I think is the best Pokemon that wasn't really used much in the Go Battle League preseason for Master League. I know you are probably sick of seeing Swamperts. I know that I am, but turns out Swampert is also very, very good in Master League, not only as a Dialga counter, but also picking up the other steals, things like Metagrosses and Melmetals, which you'll see quite a lot. It also just has the possibility of doing a ton of damage in most of the neutral matchups, beating things like, I don't know, Mewtwo, doing a ton of damage to a Togekiss. You still want the same moveset here that you've always had. You want Mud Shot, Hydro Cannon, and Earthquake. You can get by with Surf. There isn't a lot that you lose between Hydro Cannon and Surf in neutral situations. You're going to perform worse with Surf. Plain and simple. But it is a reasonable move if you say have one already maxed that doesn't have Hydro Cannon, or you'd prefer to use one that is going to cost you a little less dust. Swampert is a great choice. It's 10k for the second move. You probably already have a bunch of Mudkip candy from Community Day. You probably got some good ones kicking around. I highly recommend investing in one. And the other thing that's worth noting is that grass essentially is non-existent in the Master League. So its primary counters are things like Kyogre, which do great against it, but are nowhere near as oppressive as, say, the grass type Pokemon are. The last Pokemon I'm going to cover here fits into that budget category, mostly again because of a recent Community Day. Mamoswine. You probably have some around. They were an excellent counter to Rayquazas. I know you made some. Mamoswine has, on paper, what seems like an excellent type combination of moves for Go Battle League. It's got ice moves to handle the dragons. It's got ground moves to handle the steals. It seems like it would be great. It does suffer, unfortunately, from the fact that most of the things people are bringing to counter Dialga also do great work against Mamoswine. And it is also a little flimsy. It loses in the 2-shield against, say, Dialga. What is great about it is if you can get yourself to some shield advantage with Mamoswine, Avalanche and Bulldoze both hit the majority of the Pokemon in the meta extremely hard. It can make a really, really potent closer, getting both of those moves very quickly with Powder Snow. And you probably already have them. It's definitely not something that I've used a lot of. It's just a little too flimsy for my taste. But if you do like to find yourself at shield advantage and find a powerful closer, Mamoswine will really do great work. And again, should save you some Stardust. And really, Swine-Up candy is pretty plentiful for most of us thanks to Community Day. So take advantage of those resources while you can. And there you have it. That sums up my top 5 budget options for Master Go Battle League. Again, Master Go Battle League is extremely resource intensive, and it does make sense, especially if you are not swimming in resources, to really be careful about what you spend in Master League. There's a lot of Pokemon that are very tempting. My recommendation is to spend as little Stardust as you can to get started, get a feel for it, figure out what people are using, and then make some determinations yourself. Obviously, I think a Dialga is a great investment in the future if you can afford it. But for now, I think the things that we've given you today are going to do plenty good against what you're expecting to see in the field. So I hope this is helpful to you. Leave a comment down below if there's something you think I missed, if there's a Pokemon I should definitely try out. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the league.